Hello everyone and welcome back to Movies with Michael. Today I am finally sitting down to discuss my thoughts and conclusions with you guys about Tom Holland as Spider-Man. This version of Spider-Man is quite different, to say the least, as compared to other Spider-Man that we've gotten in the past. As for me, I didn't and still don't like a lot of the choices that they made with writing the character into the MCU. However, I think that the most recent film fixed a lot of those missteps. So, today there's going to be a lot of discussion, but that's going to be necessary for you to understand my full opinion with Tom Holland as Spider-Man, because there's a lot that goes into the opinion that I have. Now, I remember back in 2016 when I watched, I believe it was the second official trailer for Captain America Civil War, where it ends with Spider-Man stealing Captain America's shield. I freaked out. That was awesome. As for my opinion on Tom Holland as Spider-Man in that film, I think he's fine, but right out of the gate, they introduce him as someone who relies on Tony Stark, and he's using Stark tech and all that stuff. So, already I don't like what they're doing with the character inside of the franchise, and I think that his debut to the MCU should not have been Civil War. He should have had his own solo film before and then Civil War, because I think that would have made more sense. But that didn't happen. So with Homecoming, the writers had to go off of him being obsessed with Iron Man and thinking I have to be an Avenger, But then they got out of that, and Spider-Man's relationship with Iron Man at the end of Homecoming is great. In Homecoming, though there's a lot of stuff that I don't like about it, it is a solid MCU Spider-Man film. Now, Tom Holland as Spider-Man in Infinity War is almost perfect. Him and RDJ have some great moments, and he does just what he needs to do in that film. Also, for Avengers Endgame, his screen time was just the right amount. Spider-Man Far From Home is where it goes off the rails for me. There's a lot of things that I think went wrong with this film. One, the writers treated it as if Homecoming didn't happen, because in the film, Peter is what do I do without Iron Man? I miss him so much, all this stuff. And they ask the question, is Peter going to be the next Iron Man? Who's going to be the next Iron Man? That question was already addressed. Or at least I believe that question was already addressed in previous films. And also number two, all the rom-com stuff that they did not work for me at all. And it didn't help either that Zendaya as MJ, I don't like her. She's one of my least favorite MCU girlfriends. So that didn't help either. And three, they kept going with the trend of the villain having a vendetta with Tony Stark. And yes, Jake Gyllenhaal was the best actor in this film. He had a lot of cool sequences with his character, but the character wasn't very interesting to me. And the third act villain twist, that did not work for me at all, like it did with Vulture in Homecoming. So you could say that I don't care much for MCU Spidey's second solo film, which is why it has the spot that it has on the bottom 5 in my MCU ranking. So this creates, at this point, a distasteful view of the way that the MCU is treating Spider-Man. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I do not like the way that they're doing Spider-Man in the MCU, because it's Spider-Man with the Avengers, and I want that to be fun, but I don't like it. So when I started seeing the predictions and the leaks for No Way Home and the returning cast members and all that stuff, I was excited to see past villains and past Spider-Man, as well as my favorite Spider-Man villain, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. And now that I've seen No Way Home twice, I loved it. I loved all the fan service, I loved all the stuff with the returning cast members, all that. There's a lot of stuff that I like about the film. I'm not going to change my opinion that I had on it back when I did my quick thoughts on that film. However, I will say that No Way Home, they kind of had to... The first act, they had to write themselves out of the corner they had written themselves into with Spider-Man in the previous films. And unfortunately, they had to use Doctor Strange as a plot device to get the movie going, to change everything and all that, which is lazy. A lot of the writing in the first act of No Way Home is pretty lazy, and that's very unfortunate. But No Way Home does something that not a lot of MCU films do. It doesn't have the MCU norm of starting at point A and rushing to point B, and then you're done. Like, you're just done. You go, like, bang, bang, boom, you're there. No Way Home doesn't do that. It takes time, doesn't rush to get to the next sequence or the next action sequence or the next scene of exposition to talk about what's going to happen later on in the action scene. No. And with that, Spider-Man, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, has his Spider-Man arc where his parental figure dies and he chooses a different path than revenge, which that helped. I don't like it that happened in the third Spider-Man film. I don't like that at all. But I am happier that they stayed consistent until the end of No Way Home with the way they had written him already than them throwing all that out and put in what I wanted in No Way Home. I don't like it, but I'm happier that they did that than being inconsistent with the writing. So, if you've seen No Way Home, you know that at the very end, Spider-Man makes his own suit. He makes his own suit. He isn't using Stark tech. I love that, and I like how he chose to make the mature decision of leaving MJ, Ned, and Happy out of his life, because he knows that, that's to protect them. That's because he loves them, and he wants to protect them. He wants them to be safe and happy, and he doesn't need to be in their lives for that to happen. And I'm excited for what they're going to do next with Spider-Man, because now he is Spider-Man. That's the thing. He's not Iron Man Jr. He's Spider-Man. This is where I sit back and think, okay, do I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man now? Do I respect him as Spider-Man? Is he respectable as the character now? Well, yes. I think he is. I think the way that, what he does at the end of No Way Home, he's earned my respect as Spider-Man, and as I said before, I'm very excited to see what they're going to do next with the character. There's a lot more I could say, but I'm going to cut it off right there. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, everyone, and please remember to comment down below what you think about Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Who's your favorite of the trio of live-action Spider-Man? My least favorite is still Tom Holland, but I'm happy where he is now. And remember to subscribe for more content about movies, and stay tuned for what's coming next, because when we get to February, there's going to be a lot of Batman content, and of course when we get into the first week of March, that is when the Batman comes out. I'm so excited, I'm sure a lot of you are excited for that too. But that's all for now, and I'll see you all next time.